Hogwarts Legacy took the gaming world by storm when it was released in February of 2023 from developer Avalanche Software, a studio primarily known for their work on the Disney Infinity series, as well as other movie tie-ins like Cars 2 and 3. Now, this seemed like a fitting match considering the last Harry Potter game was also a movie tie-in for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and you also had Lego Harry Potter Years 5 through 7, which both games released 12 years prior. Now, in a strange twist of fate, perhaps coincidence, I lean more in on prophecy, but the time we waited for a new Harry Potter game was the same amount of time that Sirius Black unjustly spent in Azkaban. Well, considering the sheer amount of mediocre mobile games that have released under the Harry Potter IP over the last 12 years, Azkaban doesn't seem all that bad by comparison. Now, Avalanche Software, a relatively untested studio, seemed like they would be the last choice to develop a AAA game in the Harry Potter universe. How does a studio that was once shut down by Disney and later reacquired by Warner Brothers Games end up being the ones to create the first AAA Wizarding World game in 12 years? Like, guys, this studio was way out of their depth. How could they ever pull it off? Well, today we are going to embark on a magical journey through the Wizarding world as we explore the past, the present, and the future of Hogwarts Legacy. Our journey starts with humble beginnings. In October of 2018, footage was leaked on Reddit from a user by the name of Vape This Bro, who reportedly recorded footage of a Harry Potter game secretly while in a focus group at a mall. Now, Vape This Bro claimed that there were signs that did prohibit phones and cameras, but the company conducting the survey kind of dropped the ball, and that pesky Lord Vapedemort was able to slip in. The footage quickly spread around the internet like wildfire, which caused WB to act immediately and start sending out DMCA takedown notices. Now, the leak included footage that showcased gameplay elements like character creation, spellcasting, Hogwarts Castle, and combat against magical creatures. We quickly learned that this Harry Potter RPG was a game set in the 19th century, long before the events of the Harry Potter books, which was met with quite a bit of cautious optimism. Now, when the footage was initially leaked, there were rumors that this was in development by Avalanche Studios, who previously did the Mad Max game, and there were even some rumblings that it was actually Rocksteady Games leading the development, and boy, would that have been a weird timeline to live in. Like, guys, I almost wish I could jump through a portal and tell Rocksteady, guys, not Suicide Squad, anything but Suicide Squad. Well, it was ultimately confirmed that the developer was indeed Avalanche Software, and the game was said to be in development for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the PC. The discussion surrounding the quote-unquote Harry Potter RPG would then go silent for the foreseeable future. But this brings us to 2 years later. On September 16th, 2020, during the PlayStation 5 showcase, we got the official reveal of Hogwarts Legacy. The game was introduced with a cinematic trailer that showcased the game's setting, the characters, fantastical elements of Hogwarts Castle, and magical abilities. I've probably watched this trailer about 30 times at this point. This was one of the most effective video game trailers of all time, and at the time of recording this video, it's at over 35 million views, and it's the third most viewed video on PlayStation's YouTube channel, which is kind of crazy to think about. Let's just say the hype was through the roof, guys. After nearly a decade, we were finally going to get a Harry Potter video game where we could actually go to Hogwarts. The end of the trailer gave us a release window of 2021, and after the announcement, it was confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy would be releasing on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, the previous gen consoles, which was kind of a shocker, the PS4, the Xbox One, and of course the PC. This trailer did an incredible job at creating excitement while telling us pretty much nothing about the story. Whoever was in charge of producing the trailer deserves a massive raise. Like, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so pretty much any trailer would have probably worked on me, but the fact that they got Jim freaking Dale to do the voiceover for the trailer, like, you've already sold me on the visuals, but then you decided to just take a victory lap by pulling at my heartstrings with the voiceover. Not to mention the music, which was a love letter to John Williams' Hedwig's theme. Cut to January 2021, Hogwarts Legacy was met with the unfortunate news that Avalanche Software officially delayed Hogwarts Legacy. The initial release window was set for 2021, however, on January 13th, 2021, the developers wrote this on social media. "We would like to thank fans from around the world on the tremendous reaction to the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy from our Portkey Games label. Creating the best possible experience for all of the Wizarding world and gaming fans is paramount to us, so we're giving the game the time it needs," to which they provided us with a new release window of 2022. Now, this announcement was met with a bit of disappointment from fans, but I think the general sentiment was that we were willing to wait. We just want the best possible experience, so if that means waiting another year, so be it. I truly think that this first delay highlighted the developers' passion and commitment to quality. You could tell that they want Hogwarts Legacy to be a love letter to fans, and the only way that was possible to achieve is with more time. Now, apart from the delayed news, the years that followed the reveal trailer were kinda slow. It wasn't until March of 2022 that PlayStation announced that they would be holding a Hogwarts Legacy State of Play on the 17th, where they would be revealing an extended first look at the gameplay. This news was a bit shocking to me. PlayStation had only done a handful of dedicated game state of plays in the past, which those prominent ones being Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us Part 2, so the fact that a third-party game would be having its own state of play was kind of a big deal. And boy, was that a smart decision. The state of play was highly detailed. It conveyed that this game was a love letter to fans, and it showcased everything from the open world exploration, revealing that players can freely explore Hogwarts Castle, Hogsmeade, the Forbidden Forest, as well as the surrounding areas. But we also got to see the character creation potential, which I'll be talking more about later on in the video, but we got to see new combat, the dark arts, magical creatures, the house choices, and some of the mysteries that await us in Hogwarts. It also set up the game's narrative. I remember my first reaction to the state of play being like, there is no way that this game is filled with this much content. It's like the developers took everything that we'd ever want in a Harry Potter game and then just added it to the game. You really got the sense of scale. This wasn't going to be a smaller linear game. This was a fully open world experience. The world in Hogwarts Castle were perfectly recreated and just felt alive, and it was all shown off in the state of play. This is when the hype and excitement for Hogwarts Legacy went far beyond what I had ever imagined it to be. And to top it off, we wouldn't have to wait long, as the state of play revealed the holiday 2022 release date. Jumping to August 2022, this is when Hogwarts Legacy was unfortunately met with another delay. I'm not going to cap, this delay announcement was a bit more frustrating for me and other players, as we were mere months away from being able to play the game, and the devs just kind of straight up ripped it right from under us. Now, on their social media, they gave us another update about the new release date, to which they said, Hogwarts Legacy will now launch on February 10th, 2023 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and the Nintendo Switch launch date will be revealed soon. The team is excited for you to play, but we need a little more time to deliver the best game experience. Cut to later in the year in 2022, in December, we also got the unfortunate news that Hogwarts Legacy would be delayed again, but this time the delay would be a little bit different. To which they said Hogwarts Legacy will launch on April 4th, 2023 for PS4 and Xbox One, and on July 25th for Nintendo Switch, which that was also delayed again to November 2023. They closed it out with their normal spiel of saying that they want the game to be the best possible experience across all of the platforms. Now, with all of the delays this game encountered, you would think that it would start to affect the game's sentiment. Well, that happened for another reason, but the Hogwarts Express hype train was real, and there was nothing stopping it. Playing Hogwarts Legacy for the first time, even before its official launch, was a moment I had been waiting years for. The only Harry Potter game I held in high regard at the time was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets game, and outside of the Lego Harry Potter games and the Minecraft mods that I would play, this would be my first time stepping foot in the wizarding world in forever. I booted up the game on my PS5, launched it, and I was awestruck. I am finally playing Hogwarts Legacy. After receiving my official letter to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, I was then prompted with the character creation screen, which offered the ability to select whether you want to be a witch or a wizard, and then you could customize your character's appearance, featuring a good number of face options, hair sliders, scars, eye color, skin color, and voice options, with the added pitch slider for further customization. The creator in this game wasn't really anything super fancy. This really wasn't a surprise to me. I then started to play through the prologue, which was an amazing introduction to the game. The feeling I felt zipping down on the minecarts to the vaults of Gringotts was an unforgettable moment for me. This would also be the first time I felt just how satisfying the combat was, but that was nothing compared to the first time stepping foot into the halls of Hogwarts Castle. All of the anticipation I had for so long was finally here. After I entered Hogwarts Castle, this is where the sorting ceremony was. I took the test for the first time, and just like my house the sorting hat put me in years ago on the Pottermore website, I joined Ravenclaw, which is based. Now, in hindsight, there really isn't much difference the four houses make to the story, so choose the one that best suits you and the one you want. But either way, I was in Hogwarts Castle. Walking through the halls, I immediately got the sense of the rich and magical atmosphere of the castle. It truly felt alive to me. The pages of the books that I read so long ago are in front of me, seeing the enchanted portraits watching me as I walk through the corridors. And look at me, I'm walking up the grand staircase. What a wild time to be in. I was finally living in the wizarding world I'd wanted for so long. Now, I recently went back and played through Hogwarts Legacy again, and while the time I had in this new playthrough was great, but it's not even comparable to my first time playing, which I think a lot of you can also agree with. Hogwarts Legacy undoubtedly delivers an amazing first playthrough, immersing players in the narrative and worlds. However, further replays show a limitation, which is also shared by other open world games like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring. The core gameplay and story stays for the most part the same, but you lose one of the biggest highlights, which is the sense of discovery and wonder that you had with the first playthrough. But let's dig a bit deeper and explore the various aspects of Hogwarts Legacy and examine what it does well and how the devs could improve with the sequel. Hogwarts Legacy's story is not just about mystery and magic, but it's about mysterious magic. The setting for this game was in the late 1800s, a century prior to the events that were told in the Harry Potter books. In this game, you step foot into Hogwarts as a fifth year behind all of your other classmates, which is peculiar, but our character is not just a normal wizard. During the prologue, we discovered a hidden repository of ancient magic, which we later learned we have the ability to wield that ancient magic, which is a powerful and very rare form of magic. At its core, the plot of Hogwarts Legacy surrounds the ancient magic that we are able to control, and we later learn that this magic is tied to a goblin uprising and full-on rebellion led by Ranrock, who is a goblin that plans to harness that ancient magic. Ranrock believes that goblins have been oppressed by the wizarding world, so his objective is simple. It's to use the ancient magic to overthrow wizard kind. As much as I love a good uprising conflict in narratives, this one wasn't all that effective. I feel like this part of the narrative could have been set up a bit better, as my first playthrough I remember very vividly attacking and defending myself against all of these goblin loyalists and not really remembering why I'm fighting them in the first place. I guess the incredible combat system must have been distracting enough for me to not really care who I'm fighting. Outside of the poachers, screw those guys. Hogwarts Legacy also featured another antagonist by the name of Victor Rookwood, who was also seeking to use the ancient magic mainly for self-gain and ultimate power. You know, the typical evil villain trope of the Dark Lord attempting to overthrow the wizarding world. I was a bit disappointed with the battle between our character and Rookwood in my first playthrough, but after my recent playthrough, I thought that it was way underwhelming. It was so straightforward, anticlimactic, and it just should have been an email. Like, what was the point of all of that narrative build up just to have a final battle fall that flat? That's not to mention the glaring annoyance in the boss battle, and that is the fact that after using the Avada Kedavra curse on Rookwood during this fight does literally nothing. He doesn't die when you hit him with it, he just kind of apparates a second later and then just straight up reverse Uno cards you and uses the curse on you instead, in the classic Harry Potter versus Voldemort fashion. As you know, Avada Kedavra is unblockable to counter magic. Now Harry of course was able to block Avada Kedavra due to special circumstances, and honestly I give Hogwarts Legacy a bit of a pass here due to the movies not really getting this aspect right either. Hopefully the HBO show does a better job, but again I gave them a pass. It is an area that I feel like they could have gotten right, but without the button mashing duel in the Rookwood fight, it would be a much worse battle without it, even though I'm still a bit annoyed that the dude straight up tanks a killing curse. So technically speaking, Harry wasn't the first person to survive the killing curse, so I guess they should go back to the first chapter of book 1 and adjust the title to The Boy Who Also Lived. But on the topic of antagonists, I feel like I would have preferred almost a singular antagonist as opposed to the two. I think having to juggle between Rookwood and Ranrock split the attention of the player and made one feel less impactful, or in this case the Victor Rookwood one. While both villains were aligned with the same goal of wielding the ancient magic, it all led to a rushed conclusion. Throughout the narrative of Hogwarts Legacy, we learn about a person named Isadora Morganach. Now she was a former student at Hogwarts, eventually becoming the defense against the dark arts professor, which I guess is a fitting position. Isadora had the ability to wield the ancient magic, which led her down an unfortunate path. Isadora was obsessed with the ancient magic, so she started experimenting with it. She thought that this magic could be used to remove pain, and not to spoil too much, but her use of this magic started to get kind of crazy, to the point where she was extracting emotions from people without their knowledge. Like I said, I'm not going to expand on it too much, but Isadora's story in Hogwarts Legacy was one of the most underrated aspects of the game for me. Her story conveyed that great power comes great responsibility in the most Uncle Ben way possible. It also explored the ethics of using magic, specifically dark magic, in such a unique way. She began with the goal of relieving others with their deepest pains, but the pursuit of that power spiraled into an uncontrollable obsession, which inevitably consumed her. By the time the game concluded, it really left me wanting more. Now, in a similar vein of an individual willing to do any means necessary to help someone suffering, this brings us to Sebastian Sallow, a Slytherin student at Hogwarts, and he is one of, if not my favorite characters in this game. Sebastian is a character who is driven off of the love for his sister Anne, who suffers from a debilitating curse that caused Sebastian to go on a dark path to find a cure, which led to him embracing dark magic. Like with Isadora, Sebastian starts with the best intentions possible, but his drive to save his sister pushes him towards forbidden magic, in this case an unforgivable curse. Sebastian, and by proxy our character, forces us to make morally questionable decisions. Now I'm going to be vague here for those of you that haven't played the game, but the final decision of Sebastian's quest is just straight up annoying. Like, why is it that my character can do as many morally wrong things I want, like using an unforgivable curse, and even using ancient magic against my enemies that's supposed to be forbidden? It's like the entire narrative I'm trying to stop people from using the ancient magic for harm when I'm out here just using it willy-nilly. And why would I ever choose to send Sebastian to quote-unquote you know where? Like, I could see myself making that decision if my character also had consequences for my actions, but he does the same stuff I'm doing and they want me to punish him? Nah, not my guy Sebastian. To conclude the story aspects of Hogwarts Legacy, this game had quite a few solid story segments that I enjoyed. In my second playthrough I was kind of just going through the motions, but I feel like my first time playing, the sense of discovery and the fact that I was in the wizarding world did a great job at masking what I consider a slightly above average story. Now, the gameplay of Hogwarts Legacy was by far one of my main concerns about the game prior to the state of play. The previous games in the Harry Potter universe never really nailed the combat. Some of the games nailed the exploration of the castle down, but never the combat, and towards the end of the movie tie-in games, it somehow evolved into a literal third-person shooter. I'll be talking about the quests and explorations in a second, but I have to first talk about the Hogwarts Legacy combat system, which in my opinion is the best part of this game. There was something truly satisfying about this gameplay loop. The feeling of using a spell in this game feels amazing, it's fast-paced, it's fluid, and it's incredibly addicting. The game allows players to equip a selection of spells to a wheel, or if you're a PC player, they have separate keybinds for that. Now, there are of course multiple different spell categories in the game that the player can choose from. First, we have the basic cast spell. There's Revelio, which you'll be using quite a bit to reveal secrets in the game. Like, you're going to be using Revelio like back in the day you would hit that Flipendo every time. Revelio is not as iconic as Flipendo, but it's still solid. Now, there's also Protego, which is of course the shield spell, as well as a few other essentials. But then we get down to the control spells, which are indicated by the yellow, and they allow players to manipulate enemies, for instance Levioso, to lift enemies and objects. And then we have force spells, which are the purple color, so spells like Accio and Depulso, and of course the legendary Flipendo, like I just said. And then there's the damage spells in the red color, like Expelliarmus, Incendio. Next, we have utility spells like Lumos and Reparo. And finally, we have the unforgivable curses, which are in green, so Avada Kedavra, Crucio, and Imperio. Players also have access to ancient magic, which deals devastating blows to enemies. What I love about the combat in this game, which I'm sure most of you also agree and why it's so addicting, is how fluid the game is to chain spells together and create combos. Using a control spell like Levioso and then Accio to bring them closer, just to completely hit them with the basic spell, or finishing them off with an unforgivable curse is just so satisfying. In addition to that, the use of magical items and even magical beasts in combat is also pretty sick. You'll also need to make potions, which require exploring and collecting resources, and even farming in the room of requirement to brew potions. It scratches so many itches. On top of that, Hogwarts Legacy has a gear system with various rarity levels. Now, this system isn't that deep, it's all pretty surface level RPG mechanics. You could tell that the developers definitely had plans to make the gear system complex, but likely due to time, they scaled everything back. I also love that transmog is built in, so if you have a cool gear piece that's a high level, but you're not really a fan of the look, you can use the stats and wear whatever item looks coolest to you. The game also has a talent skill tree where you use XP to gain level, so as you play, you'll be unlocking new abilities and upgrade skills. The talent pillars of these skill trees are spells, dark arts, core, stealth, and the room of requirement. This is also an area that I still hold in high regard. I absolutely love the room of requirement system. The customization was great, and the Animal Crossing-like system with the magical creatures is something I wish Avalanche still worked on. I could totally see myself still playing it till this day if we got post-launch content for it. For instance, like seasonal updates, new fantastic beasts to find and tame. It was a big missed opportunity for them, so perhaps they'll plan ahead with Hogwarts Legacy 2. We'll just have to wait and see. Hogwarts Legacy's castle design is a masterpiece, a truly magical and highly detailed love letter to fans of both the Harry Potter books and movies. The attention to detail is nothing short of extraordinary, and it's why I'm almost convinced that the developers are literal wizards with how perfect it is. It's more than just a set piece or a backdrop for this game's world. Hogwarts Castle is a living and breathing entity where every single wall, stone, painting, candle, statue, and hidden secret is beautifully recreated with a deep understanding of Hogwarts Legacy's source material. The attention to detail and interactivity of the castle is a selling point alone. Guys, I'm convinced that the devs could literally have shipped the game with just the castle and people would buy it in droves, like straight up. The first 10 to 15 hours of the game, I found myself just wandering the castle's various locations and finding new and interesting things at each corner. When I first walked into the room with the two knights and they just started fighting each other, I was mind blown. Like, no way did that just happen. How did it happen? What just happened? Holy crap, the attention to detail is crazy. Now, this aspect of the game might not hit as close to home for those of you who didn't read the books or watch the films, but for the fans that have, you and I know just how special it was. It was our first time seeing a detailed visualization of the Hufflepuff common room and the Hogwarts kitchen. The common rooms of each class keep the same level of detail as the rest of the castle does. The puzzles and various secrets you get to uncover made it so great at some points. I found myself not ready to leave the castle to do various quests. Like, I straight up just wanted to explore the castle for the first like 10 hours, which that is hopefully where Avalanche improves things going forward. We need to see more quests that are focused inside of the castle itself. Like, this is your biggest selling point, so the fact that you do more stuff outside of the castle than you do inside the castle is a bit disappointing. And yes, even if that means literally attending classes in Hogwarts, I think the devs underestimate how much we are all down to attend classes. So perhaps tying the talent progression a little bit more more, as well as the spells you unlock around the classes that you take, would be awesome. That being said, the castle design is nothing short of incredible. It shows just how passionate the developers were to get this game right, which they did, but we do need more stuff to do inside the castle. The surrounding areas of Hogwarts Castle were the most inconsistent of the entire game for me, excluding places like the grounds of Hogwarts Castle, like the Quidditch pitch, even though I still wanted Quidditch playable, but that's okay, Hogsmeade, and the Forbidden Forest. I absolutely love how they recreated Hogsmeade and added some actual utility to it with the different shops. I was a bit sad that I couldn't fly my broom through the village, but the location was bustling, just like in the books and movies. They crushed it. The battle in Hogsmeade was also great. The various shops and interiors were detailed and lore accurate, but outside of those points of interest, the game really does fall short. While I do appreciate the fact that this game was a fully open world game with interactive aspects like Merlin Trials, which I thought were a solid Breath of the Wild concept that they utilized, they eventually got stale pretty quick due to the lack of variety, and practically the entire southern part of the map just kind of felt a bit meh. It's like they spent most of the development time getting the castle in Hogsmeade and the Forbidden Forest right, which again they did, but they forgot to flesh out the rest of the open world. I think if the open world activities weren't as repetitive and they fleshed out the points of interest a bit more, specifically in the southern part of the map, it could improve the overall world. But for now, outside of the narrative, you can skip kind of the rest. Unless of course you're going for the platinum, then you definitely have to go over to those places. But overall, the southern part of the map was the most underdeveloped part of the game. The way open world games shine the most is by having something new to discover or a gameplay beat every so often. Breath of the Wild, you literally can't go more than 2 minutes without discovering something new, something interesting, and just something fun to do. That being said, I do believe the developers did a great job in terms of the overall design of the map. It beautifully captured the highlands surrounding Hogwarts, but as the classic phrase goes, it's as wide as an ocean and deep as a puddle. And speaking of water, I do appreciate that there is swimming in the game, but come on guys, I want to be able to dive and explore under the water. But maybe they'll leave that to Hogwarts Legacy 2. Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of 2023, and it's a bit unfortunate that the developers decided to not release any future DLC content. And outside of the summer update, which was a smaller quality of life update, the post-launch support was non-existent. Now there have been some news and rumors about a director's cut being developed by both Rocksteady Games and Avalanche Software, which we could get released sometime soon. There was an update to the Steam backend that added an updated logo, so perhaps we're going to be getting either a DLC or a director's cut sometime in the future. But if we don't get the director's cut or any future post-launch support via a DLC or anything like that, the future of this game is incredibly bright at least. Currently, Avalanche Software is hiring a number of positions specifically for an open world RPG, so at least we know development on the sequel is starting, if it's not already in production. My biggest hope for Hogwarts Legacy 2 is for Avalanche to expand upon the systems of the first game and add more depth to the game. Give us a companion system that works, further improve the RPG systems, like a morality slider. It doesn't have to be as crazy as, like, let's say Red Dead Redemption, but a morality slider where actions have consequences in the game would be awesome. Like, our decisions in the narrative should also change the outcome of the game world as well. Right now everything is a bit predetermined. Like, this game was supposed to be about our legacy, so lean in on that. Now sure, it'll take more time to develop, but if the first game proved anything, it was that success is possible with passion and time. And lastly, I hope Warner Brothers, if you're listening, keep a hands-off approach with the sequel. We don't need or want another live service game, so I really hope they've learned their lesson at this point, but who knows. I can't wait to see where the developers take things with the sequel, as if the first game is any indication, the next installment promises to be an even more immersive and magical experience. But for now, mischief managed. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. What was your experience like stepping foot into Hogwarts Castle following the release of Hogwarts Legacy? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you enjoyed this style of video, do me a favor and leave a comment and tell me what game you'd like me to talk about next. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.